shows. It's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk. Radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's ubnradio.com.
Hey, everybody. It is Wednesday, August the 5th. I'm Emerson Collins.
And I'm Shores.
And you're listening to The Dell and Emerson Show.
Straight talk.
Real gay! Oh my gosh, and today's episode of The Dell and Emerson Show is brought to you by Equality Vodka. Hey, Del Shores, welcome back.
Hey, Emerson Collins.
How was your weekend?
Oh my God, I had the best weekend. It was a perfect weekend. I had 2 sold-out shows at the new Conservatory Theaters in San Francisco and got to spend some amazing quality time with my daughter, Carrie Shores, who lives up there.
Oh.
And today, I want to just give her a shout-out. She's 2 years sober, and we're very, very proud of her. And
That's so exciting.
Yeah, her blog is amazing, 21 and Sober. So if you've never read it, please do and share.
Where do they find it? What's the...
It's 21andsober.com, or
Great.
if you just Google 21 and Sober, it comes up first.
Carrie, congratulations. You are an inspiration to all other young people in openly dealing with addiction issues.
Yeah, and you know, it's hard to be a parent and even for 24 hours not have a single fight, you know?
That is impressive. Well done.
We were there 48 plus hours, and we just had a flawless weekend. So it was wonderful seeing her world and being a part of that.
Oh, yay. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, we'll kick it off. We have lots of interesting and fun variety of subjects in this week's LGBT news. And we will kick it off with our equality update brought to you by Equality Vodka.
Equality Vodka is an ultra-premium vodka brand with one agenda: equality for all. Support our LGBT communities by asking for Equality Vodka everywhere. Join Equality Vodka on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. One voice, one vodka, Equality Vodka.
Every single bottle of Equality Vodka purchased results in a donation to a recognized nonprofit organization advancing the equality movement for the LGBT community. For more information, visit equalityvodka.com. And they've just released their first teaser trailer that we broadcast last week, but with some technical issues. We wanted to make sure you all got to see it, and so here it is. Yes! Congratulations to Equality Vodka, coming into more and more markets every week. All right, well, in our equality news, this is actually a brand new story. It just happened. We've talked about the Hero Ordinance, the Houston Equal Rights Ordinance that the Texas Supreme Court said had to either be rescinded or put to a voter referendum this November to provide the first equal rights ordinance for the greater Houston area. Well, it was just announced today that they are going to put it on the ballot in November. And what this means, that we talked about last week, is that it is going to be a huge fight both in the mayoral race, because Mayor Anise Parker is term limited. So it will be a significant part of the mayoral race and the city council race. And it is a big deal because it doesn't just impact the LGBT community. There was no equal rights ordinance at all in Houston protecting the classes that have already been historically protected under those kind of ordinances across the country. And a really interesting thing happened online. Carlos Mazza is the LGBT program director at Media Matters, and he came up with a concept which I think is brilliant. He created a hashtag called Bay Be a Hero, B-E-Y, about Beyonce. Because Beyonce's social media influence is absolutely huge, and she is originally from Houston. So he has started this campaign that has gone really viral in the last 2 days. Because if Beyonce were to put out a single post on Twitter or Instagram about this issue leading up to the election, the influence that she has on social media could really drive particularly young people to be sure that they got out and voted in this election. So he started a hashtag calling on Beyonce to throw her weight behind this issue.
There's lots of Houston celebrities. They should just do them all, but that's such a great idea.
Right? I mean, it's brilliant. Carlos, it's a brilliant
now,
idea.
Emerson,
What?
you are also from Houston, so I think we need Emerson, some hashtag.
I would venture to say that I don't carry quite the same
You're
weight.
going to get 6 or 7 people to vote. Come
So,
on.
yes,
give yourself some credit.
Those final swing votes.
You never know.
It's true. You do never know. And any other equality news, Alabama lawmakers have made an interesting decision surrounding what to do about issuing same-sex marriage licenses. The Alabama Senate Finance and Taxation General Fund Committee on Monday approved a bill to do away with state-issued marriage licenses, basically just completely, so that the probate judges would no longer have to issue marriage licenses to anyone. Instead, spouses would file for a signed marriage contract at probate offices, so they would just fill out the paperwork and submit it. Honestly, I sort of go like, fine, whatever.
Yeah, what the fuck ever. I am so tired of these people not doing their jobs and figuring a way to skirt around the issue. So yeah, it is the law of the land now. You're going to have to accept that gay marriage is going to be in Alabama. It's such crazy.
But I go, good, fine.
Yeah.
If we just have to fill out the paper and submit it, great. If we could do it online, that'd be fine too.
Yeah,
as
we
long
know
as
how to
we
do that.
all go through the same process, that works for me.
Well, good. Let them do it.
And in another equality news, a tragic story out of Jerusalem. Jerusalem Pride was last Thursday, and during the course of their celebration, a man stabbed 6 people marching in the parade. The Orthodox man was arrested. Later, it was discovered that exact same man had committed the same kind of attack at Jerusalem Pride 10 years ago in 2005, in which 3 attendees were stabbed. The exact same guy. He had just recently been released from prison for the original attack and showed up and did the exact same thing again.
In the first attack, no one died.
But
this
in this
time,
one,
he's gone.
A girl has lost her life. So it is a tragic situation that he had completed his sentence and then turned around and committed the exact same crime, and this time with the loss of life. So sending love and support to the LGBT community in Jerusalem as they heal from a tragic, literal rain on their parade. But that's it for equality news because there's so much happening in the gay news. So let's flash through the gay news and kick it off with a special story.
Yes, and this story, because she's such a big fan of Leslie, is brought to you by Erica's birthday. She's one of our big listeners, and she is the mistress of Shop Del Shore. So I want to give a big shout out to Erica Kopich. She's 40 years old today, and she loves Leslie Jordan, and we do too, and everybody's loving him a little bit more after this story.
What happened?
Well, last week, it was a week ago today, on the way to the show, I get a call from Catherine Bayless. If many of you know, she's on Hit the Floor, and she was also Nurse Waring and starred with Leslie in Sordid Lives, the series. And she said, "Oh, Dale, you're never going to believe what happened. I just ran into Leslie at Starbucks, and he is in a big altercation." She told me the whole story. By the time I sat down here 5 minutes before showtime, Leslie was calling me, and he goes, "Oh my God, you've never gonna believe what happened to me over at Starbucks." And it just went viral on the news. And what basically happened were these three homophobes came into gay Starbucks, where you go all the time, correct? And started just spewing anti-gay slurs. In fact, I believe they said, "You faggots should die" at one point. They were asked to leave by the management. Well, Mr. Jordan he just could not stand it. And he got up and he said, "Not in my house. Not in my town," and followed them out. One of them lunged for him, and he had a glass of iced tea in his hand. And as the guy lunged, he threw it. And if you go on and Google this, you will see the guy with just tea stains all over. And, Leslie kept quiet about it for a while as everybody said, "Oh, he's a hero, he's a hero." But he did make this statement, which I really loved. He said, "We have to stir the pot, but we have to do it without losing our temper. The cop said to me, 'Mr. Jordan, this is a hate crime. If you want to file charges, but they can probably come back at you because you threw the first punch.'" Well, actually, it was tea. I said, "Well, how much? It was a glass of tea." But they are continuing at me. But they were coming at me. It was the scaredest I've ever been in my life. So that's basically the story. And, he got a lot of press off of it. And I read, out of all the comments, I read one negative one.
Well, good. Well, the version that he wrote to me in an email ended with this line. He said, "It was so exciting, I felt like Del Shores." So apparently,
I don't think I've ever been that amazingly dramatic.
You've never thrown a drink at somebody?
No. I've had a drink thrown at me.
Ever?
A drink? Yes, I have.
I was going to say, I don't remember the specifics, but I feel like I remember
No. They were in a relationship. Somebody threw a drink at me first, and I just threw a whole big gulp of Coke right in my own car. That was, I did a sort of retaliation. But I mean, I have got to that point where you get so incensed. I think I talked about it on this show at Salisbury Pride, where I got in the guy's face, and he was quoting scriptures, and I quoted one back, and then he quoted one back, and then I said, "Well, have you heard of this one?" one, fuck you. That's the first chapter of Del Shores. So I have been reprimanded by a policeman who came over and said, we really think you should not be spewing profanity at these protesters. So, but listen, I say, hey, do we have a big hand for Mr. Leslie Jordan?
Yes.
Preceded by
the Tiny Terror.
The Tiny
out
Terror.
On the town.
Now give us a good okay from Leslie's own voice.
Oh, God.
There it is.
All right. Okay, moving on to another gay celebrity.
All right, I'm on a soapbox for a minute. We talked a little bit about the beginning of this story last week, and it continued to unfold over the weekend, and I am irked. We talked last week about the letter that Steve Grand wrote to the people that were hating on him for wearing a skimpy Speedo out with his friends on a boat. And the very story that we talked about, that was picked up by a lot of the gay media, and it ran everywhere as the big story about Steve Grand for the week. And so later that afternoon, I think it actually was after our radio show on Wednesday, Steve Grand sent out a tweet that just said, "It would be nice if any other aspect of my life work as an artist advocate got a fraction of the press I get for wearing a bathing suit by gay media." Now, then after that, he posted a really long message talking about his personal philosophy and his experience and his journey over sharing his music over the last 2 years. And these are excerpts from it, and I'm going to read it because what Steve said is important to my opinion on all of the response to this. He said, "I usually let things like this pass without speaking up about it. For 2 years, I've trudged through it all with a smile, so hopefully I'll get a pass for speaking up on my behalf this time. It would be nice if any other aspect of my life work as an artist advocate got a fraction of the press I get for wearing a bathing suit by gay media. And no, this is not a message to the haters, but a message for those at all interested in what I have to say about me. I've carved a unique path for myself as an artist performer. I've been sent overseas by the U.S. State Department where I spoke out for LGBTQ rights and gave master classes to music students about the business from the perspective of an independent artist. I've done more benefit concerts for the community than I can remember. I travel with live musicians despite it being far less profitable so that my fans get the very best show for me. I've never not stopped to take a picture with a fan, even when my meet and greets go beyond 2 hours. I'm forever grateful to my fans who have made it all possible, and I continue to invest every last cent into my work to the point of my own personal and financial detriment. Outside of my work as an artist, performer, advocate, I am a colorful, complex, deeply flawed, ever-evolving young man, just happy to barely make enough doing what I love to get by. I struggle in silence from crippling anxiety and depression that sometimes keeps me from leaving my bed altogether, but I also enjoy moments of incredible lightness and freedom. I don't believe in God, but I believe that human connection can be so powerful it can feel supernatural. I hate being made to feel like a victim, but even more, hate to feel misunderstood. I feel so much compassion for my LGBTQ brothers and sisters, many of whom are damaged in all kinds of ways from the world we were brought up in, but I feel so much anger for the way I see how quick we are to judge and hurt one another. I also recognize I have been very privileged in many ways, and there were a couple more things. Well, then after that, a whole bunch of the same gay media blogs posted that message, his response, with a bunch of his shirtless or nearly naked photos.
Yes.
Obviously pointing out, trying to clearly implying that he was being hypocritical by saying this at all. So then he jumped onto the comments specifically on Queerty and said, "No, I want you to stop only posting the handful of half-naked pictures of me taken over the last 6 years to get your page clicks." He pointed out only 1% of his Instagram posts show his bare chest. He accused the site of creating the perception that he is always shoving sex in people's faces. He called them trashy tabloids trying to make him look like a hypocrite. "I should be able to post a shirtless pic here and there without it being the only way you represent me. There's nothing wrong with the pictures of me that are out there. I am not ashamed. I am a young man and sometimes like to show my body like most all of us young men do. But you create this weird dynamic where you slut shame as you simultaneously fawn over a young man. It is very bizarre, and worse, it sends a toxic message to young people still coming to terms with their sexuality. Haven't gay men been taught to feel enough shame about their sexuality? I know I'll get accused of whining and being a hypocrite, and I know I'm supposed to shut up and never stuck up for myself, and I know I brought it on myself, and I should have just known when I was a 19-year-old student putting myself through college that I shouldn't have posed in those kind of photos, because none of you have ever made questionable choices when you were 19, right? But I'm just a guy as flawed as all the rest of you. I'm not rich and famous. I just want to make music, play it for my fans, and yeah, sometimes have fun on a boat in a Speedo and share some of those moments with my fans who have been so supportive. Okay, Internet, do what you do to people who dare to speak up for themselves. Fire away."
Okay, first of all, I can't say anything that he didn't say better. I loved what he had to say. I am in love with him more than I was, and I mean that in an appreciative way. I met Steve at Atlanta Pride a few years ago. I have never witnessed anybody more gracious. I've witnessed some that were equally gracious, but he was wonderful to his fans. He did do exactly what he said he did. Debbie Holiday and I posed with him, and he was kind of shy, actually. But I think what happens in our community is that we start fearing publications like Queerty, and he didn't, and I have to admire him for that. And I could say, I'm on Team Steve here, and suffer that Queerty, who has been very good to me in the past, is not going to do anything for me. But I have to say, I think that Steve is absolutely right.
Well, and also, but here's what happened. Immediately after that posted, and like the big gay blogosphere picked it up, the comment sections of those posts became absolutely crazy, with people saying, you're not talented enough. Why do you have any right to complain? Oh, poor you. You're so attractive that people want to look at pictures of you with your naked body. And here's my problem, because it feeds into several issues that this is why I'm irritated. I love Queerty. I use a lot of their stories for our LGBT news, and I read all of the gay blogs, but it's why I understand what he's saying, because it goes back to something we've talked about before. One, how we make new gay celebrities. Anytime one of our own sort of starts to rise above us, who is already out, so many people roll their eyes at them, or they're like, we don't show up. We don't show up for gay male singers. We rarely do. Steve Grand is literally the one exception. But we are thrilled to welcome someone who's already famous, who comes out of the closet, who then doesn't need particularly the support of the LGBT press. For example, Matt Bomer doesn't have to show up and do interviews for these sites, and we fawn over him because he finally came out of the closet. But when people are out and start climbing up the awareness scale and might start breaking out of specifically the LGBT community, it seems that we regularly do our very best to tear them down, to dismiss their talent. And a lot of the complaints came from, well, he's not that good anyway. Okay, great. You don't have to like his voice. Like, we all get to decide for each of us whether you support how good someone is at what they do. And if you don't like it, like him, don't read it, don't post it, whatever. But that doesn't neutralize the point of his argument. Because here's what happened in my life this past week, and why I realized the perception of him is so off by so many people. Because I had this conversation with a number of what you would call gay celebrities or rising gay stars in a number of actors, musicians, industries, and universally the response was he brought it on himself.
Why would people? You know what I think that is a lot of times, Emerson? I think that's jealousy about his profile. I think people are truly jealous of, and yes, there is an element of him being gorgeous, and we like that, but I have to tell you, when I first fell in love with Steve Grand, is that video, and yes, there was some skin in it, but there was also a touching message. And besides the fact, it is all a part of us. We are the sum of us. And yes, that is part of his celebrity, that people love how he looks. And there have been these. And I get Queerty putting the pictures because, yes, they do get the clicks, and that's how they make money. But don't call him a hypocrite.
But it's seen the part that everyone's ignoring is that none of his statement was about don't ever do these photos and don't ever show this. And he even said, when I post that stuff and it's new, great. But I scrolled through his Instagram, and there's like 2 or 3 from the entire time he's been on Instagram of him with a shirtless. And one of them was for the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, where he got completely naked and held a towel over himself. But the people that I talked to about it said, but there's all those photos of him in his underwear. Every one of those photos are from when he was trying to be a model when he was 19 or 20 years old. And when he first broke with that music video, when people Google image searched him, they found those photos and ran those with his stories.
That's all there were.
But so every time any new post gets put up about him, those are the photos that get attached to him. And what he is simply saying, for example, think of the number of female actresses that have done the cover of Maxim magazine. Say Jessica Alba or Jessica Biel or one of those women. If every time they were ever promoting a movie or appearing anywhere, the photo that was attached to that was them in a swimsuit from the cover of Maxim magazine, that's what he's talking about. He's not saying that you can't do it, but I was genuinely appalled by the number of people who said, well, that's what he does all the time, shows that he's right, because he doesn't do that all the time, but the way he's portrayed in our particular media makes it seem as though he does, and it warps that this is not just a part of him, it makes the appearance of this is all of him.
Well, here's what I have to say to him if he happens to listen to this show. First of all, he went to battle, and I told you this. I said, well, maybe he should have stopped and just been silent. And you said, who are you, Del? I mean, you were like calling me out on that, and it's absolutely true. I do. I go toe-to-toe with people. So I have to applaud you for doing exactly what you did and defending yourself. In that, I hope that you don't go away like you've threatened to do on some of social media. I hope you stay with the fans, because there are those who truly, truly support you. I mean, he has the biggest IndieGoGo campaign ever for a music artist, correct? For an independent music artist. So he has a lot of support out there, a lot of genuine support. And as many people are negative, and we've been there. I've been there, through a public divorce. It's like people were just celebrating. They want you to fall. They want you to fail in some way. But you have to keep going. Sometimes it's difficult, but you have to keep going. And you're going to get some. You got some love today from this show. So I hope that you continue to give us music that we appreciate, and be an inspiration to young people, young artists who, you have to do it yourself sometime. He is such a great example. If he did this himself, no music label, nobody came and said, hey, let's shoot this All-American Boy video for you. He did it. He got the capital himself. We have to applaud that, and we have to admire that.
Well, and to the people, there are people who are saying, oh, boo-hoo, it's so hard to be attractive and having people want you. It's sort of similar to that story we talked about, Kit Harington, who said he's frustrated as a attractive male actor that every photo shoot he gets asked to take off his shirt, and he just quit doing it, and everybody sort of dismissed that and said, oh, your life is so hard. But what it reminds me of is when people talk about with marriage equality, when they said, gay people are getting killed in other countries. Why are you guys so worried about, these little like marriage issues and things here? And it's like, right, because someone has reached a certain level, they don't have the right to complain about everything is ridiculous. And I will go back to the point that for openly gay male entertainers, we do not support them the way we do female divas, female performers, female actresses. We don't show up for very many openly gay singers. You think about Jake Shears and Adam Lambert and Clay Aiken. But even those people, I listen to so many people roll their eyes and they're like, oh, what's Gay Aiken doing? Or Adam Lambert, he's such a queen. Or, oh, Jake Shears gets, because he's super hot, so it's sort of okay.
I'm seeing him in Bent on Tuesday night.
But we don't make new gay celebrities as much as we could. The influence of our community, the influence of our reporters and blogs in the media, we could make more gay people famous if we chose to support them stronger. And I'm not saying get behind every gay person that makes a music video on YouTube. They're not all amazing.
No.
But there are really great ones. And
Yeah.
I think we do a disservice to our community by waiting for people to get famous and then tell us they're gay, instead of going, wow, that's a gay person whose talent I like. I'm going to throw my money and my attention and discover new gay talent and introduce them to the entertainment world.
Yeah, so you got if nothing else, from our lots of opinions about this, go out and support some gay artists. Buy Levi Christ's album, buy
Eric Hyman,
and
Blake
MacGyver, and Steve Grand,
and Ann Steele,
who we've had on the show and love her. She's playing the Purple Room after me in Palm Springs coming
I love
up.
that.
I'm so excited.
So anyway, giant soapbox dismount on that, but I'm really passionate about it because I watch gay actors.
William Blake.
Yes, but I watch gay actors still talk about being concerned about playing gay roles or being openly gay, and it's part of the fear of the response of our own community that keeps people from continuing to succeed. That's
All right,
enough.
we're so behind, but,
we'll be
but
fine.
real quick, Lenny Kravitz was at a concert in Stockholm, and he split his pants, and we got a full. If you don't want to see his penis, do not look in the chat room because we actually have the picture. He was commando, and he had.
Wait, you're putting the photo in the chat room?
Should we not?
We can't put it on YouTube.
What?
We can't put our show on YouTube.
Don't put it on then. Google it.
If you want to see Lenny Kravitz's penis, you
it's
can
on
Google it.
BuzzFeed. So at a concert, he split his the crotch of his pants, and I loved the text that Steven Tyler said. He said, "Dude, no underwear and pierced. Fuck me. Show me that shit."
Yes, Steven Tyler.
So, and then we had a hero in Miami,
Anita Hero.
Anita, that would be a good drag name, and this is a drag story. Anita Hero.
Anita Hero. I'm sure there is one somewhere.
You think there's an Anita?
It also goes with that Bay thing. Yeah. Baby a hero.
There you go. Well, her name was Elaine Lancaster, and she's a Miami drag queen. She watched this drama out of her window. I'm just going to quote what she had to say. She said, "This is 1:15 a.m. Inside the car were two men and And one woman, they were visiting from Italy. She said, I could smell they were burning the clutch. I said to the guy, the car's on fire. I smell it. The girl says, okay. I said, no, I see flames. The guy in the back seat opens the door, gets out. The guy on the passenger side, he sees fire coming out of the hood. It's almost like he's hypnotized. He's frozen. He keeps staring at the hood. So I ran down the stairs, hopped over a little wall to get to the passenger side. The window is halfway open. I reach in and pushed his seatbelt button. I opened the car door, grabbed him by the arms. He stood up in a daze. Some people can handle stress differently, but he snapped out of it in the house and said, you saved my life. And then at 1:44 a.m., the car was completely engulfed in flames. And unfortunately, Davis' heroic act was performed in street clothes. According to her, she said, all I'd put on was some shorts, no shirts, no shoes. I was dressed like a boy.
I love that Italian family gets to go home to Italy and tell the story of how a drag queen saved their lives.
I think it's wonderful.
So great. All right, flashing on. In other news, continuing the drama of the Boy Scouts allowing gay scout leaders, Quinn Monson is a former scout, a father of a scout, and a professor at BYU, and he was discussing his disappointment that the Boy Scouts decided to lift their blanket ban on gay troop leaders. Now, in part of it, he spoke that he was disturbed by his own son's reaction, his son, who is the current scout. He said of his son's reaction, he's a pretty deep thinker and a thoughtful kid, but his reaction was, well, I don't see why it matters, Dad. Why is this such a big deal? That's the hard part about all this, Monson continued, his voice cracking with emotion, is that it impacts a group of young men who don't necessarily understand why. Basically, he was crying because his son thought it was okay, and all I thought was, your son is the future. I am thrilled that your son is both Mormon and a Boy Scout and doesn't see anything wrong with this.
Yay.
Yes!
Loved it. And this next story, it's one of those
I'm so angry about this story.
It's so upset, but in that anger, what I was going to say about this story is that there is hope at the end of this story, because there are people that counter what this woman is doing and explain to her the repercussions of her action. So this is what happened. A Catholic mom asked the internet how to protect her son with same-sex attraction, SSA. She was labeled as scared Catholic mom, and she asked this message on a Catholic message forum. What else can I do to make sure my son with same-sex attractions remains on the right path? How can I stop from being so afraid for him? And she explained that she had 4 sons. Her youngest one came out when he was 14. He's now 17. She said, after we got over our initial shock, and I had taken some time to grieve the loss of my dreams of his one day having a family, we sat him down and told him we loved him and that what he had told us wouldn't change that in the slightest. Then she explained that they told him that he must be celibate to lead an honorable life. She pulled him from the basketball team because the locker room would be a temptation and unfair to other boys. She took the door off of his bedroom. She forbid any sleepovers. She forbid one-on-one time with his male friends, and she said that dating or participating in activities like the prom are forbidden, and as well as his cell phone. So those were the 7 things she said. And then this has caused, our son has often told my husband and me that he feels very lonely and that it is devastating that he'll never be able to be in love or have a family. He went through a bout of depression after our oldest married, since he knows that's something he'll never be able to have. Well, I'm telling him he will be able to have that. He can have that. And that he'll never be able to make us proud and happy that way. But we're always very firm in explaining that coping with loneliness and envy are always going to be a part of his life. He's going to college, and they've told him if he ever acts on his same-sex attraction, he'll be cut off from the family. When accused by a gay Catholic of being abusive and treating her child like a dangerous criminal, she said that was uncalled for. But one commenter said, I had a friend in high school that was gay in a Christian family, although they didn't go so far as to remove his bedroom door and take away his phone and friends, as you have done. I say had because he took his own life. His suicide note said it was because he felt unnatural, unwelcome, unwanted, and he would never be able to live how his parents told him he was going to have to live. Please don't drive your son to this. Ugh.
Here's where this made me angry to a degree that I don't usually get. When I talk about religion, when I talk about Christianity, when we talk about Southern Baptist sissies, every time that I talk about it, I qualify it. I say not all Christians, not all Catholics, not all Southern Baptists, every time. But this story got to the point of this is being done, and I know there are lots of Catholics disagree with this. I posted it on Facebook, and lots of people say that they didn't. But this is still someone's interpretation of the dogma of their particular denomination, of their religion. And my challenge in this is, if you subscribe to any of these faiths, if you are a Christian, if you're a member of any of these denominations like the Southern Baptists, who do still have is a significant part of their platform and dogma that being gay is a sin and that you can't be a part of the church, or you can't participate or whatever, if you are not speaking up loudly, not to us, not to the gay people by telling us that you love us, but speaking up loudly from your pews to your pastors, to your organization, then you're complicit in this kind of behavior, and that is harsher than I ever personally get.
You're so right.
But if you are not saying, it's Martin Luther King said it was not by the actions of our enemies, but by the silence of our friends that will be harmed. The way that LGBT kids grow up today and the way so many of them survive these environments is making friends on the internet, or friends at school, or places that they can feel loved in spite of being taught this kind of dogma at home. And this family literally took all of those coping mechanisms away. And so I challenge half of LGBT people subscribe to some version of the Christian faith. And regardless of whether you're LGBT or simply an ally, if you are in any of these denominations that hold these beliefs, you need to be standing up or speaking up, or you are helping to contribute to this continuing to happen.
Yeah.
I am
You had that great
fire
line.
today.
Your character, Mark, had that line. How do you embrace something that doesn't embrace you?
Yep.
And I hope that we don't know his name. We don't know this family. It was very, right?
Yes.
And I just hope that he goes to college and he finds a family there. And if they do cut him off, know that there are people like us who will figure something out with a GoFundMe or something to give you support, because you deserve. My friends Patrick and Kevin, who have support of their families in Dallas, they're living an amazing life as a gay loving couple, planning a family, and there is hope for you. There can be a wedding. And it may not be this family that attends, but you will have a family.
At the very least, he deserves a bedroom door. I mean, that's ridiculous. All right,
I just
flashing
want to
on.
find that woman and slap her or throw a glass of tea in her face.
Yes, Leslie. Okay.
All right. Oh, this is my story too. Straights. Oh, I found this story and I kind of love this story. Okay, let's just say the word bro job.
Yes, I'm in.
Straight guys, John, are giving each other bro jobs. And you want to know?
Can we watch?
I know. And John, that expression is exactly what I needed. What is a bro job, you ask? Well, a bro job is when a straight guy gives another straight guy a blowy, not in a meaningful sexual way, but in a friendly. I'm doing you a little favor.
Just helping out.
It's
not gay if you don't look at each other.
No, not gay sort of way or something. Just helping you out. You need to come, buddy.
Yo, bro,
you need to come.
Dude, it's super mass.
Are you horny? You need a bro job.
Hey man, sometimes you just gotta sometimes you just gotta throat hug a penis.
Emerson, you're scaring me. So Dr. Jane Ward writes this. I'm sorry. I'm just like
I said that for the first time 2 days ago on Periscope, and I'm still laughing at it.
So I wish you would just at least leak that before the show. I can't compose myself. So she writes this not so new phenomenon in her book, Not Gay, Sex Between Straight White Men. I guess the blacks are not doing it, and the Hispanics, I don't know. That's her book. In the book, she poses the following question. A straight white girl can kiss a girl, like it, and still call herself straight. Her boyfriend may even encourage it. But can straight white guys experience the same easy sexual fluidity, or would kissing a guy just mean that they're really gay? Ward argues that the real reason straight men behave in these ways is to reaffirm rather than challenge their gender and racial identity, and to leverage whiteness and masculinity to authenticate their heterosexuality in the context of sex with men. In other words, they do it to prove they're not gay. Kind of like how a blossoming homosexual might experiment with a girl in high school or college once or twice practice as a way of testing the waters. This is a quote, by understanding their same-sex sexual practice as meaningless, accidental, or even necessary, straight white men can perform homosexual conduct in heterosexual ways. I don't know how you blowing another guy is straight.
If that is, I am so straight. Like I've been proving how straight I am so much.
So she says these sex acts are not slippages into a queer way of being or expression of a desired but unarticulated gay identity. Instead, they reveal the fluidity and complexity that characterizes all human sexual desire. What do you think about that?
Now, first of all, the early experimentation, like, great. Nobody needs a label. Everybody gets to own their own label. And I think we are seeing a generation grow where there is not a stigma attached to a wide variety of sexualities, where when hormones are raging, you're willing to try something. And it's like, hey, whatever. Like, we're all horny and excited, and I tried that. And then they can be like, oh, that's not really for me. Like, it was fine, but it didn't really do that much for me. And so move on. And it's not like, oh, I am not of the theory of like, you blew one guy and you're gay. Like, but using it to be like, no, but I'm going to do it specifically to show you how straight I am, I'm going to call bullshit on it. I'm going to call bullshit.
And to help my bro.
Hey, I'm just being a really good friend, bro, dude.
I mean,
I'm just going to throat hug your penis because I'm a good friend.
Years ago, I had this friend who unfortunately was a very talented actor who dealt some drugs and went to jail. And after he got out of jail, after 2 years prison, he came to me and he said, he's Dale. He's very Southern. He goes, Dale, I found out in prison, hey, a blowjob's a blowjob. You close your eyes, it could be anybody. But he was not blowing other guys. He was just getting blown. And he was in prison. So I don't know.
Well, Herman Cain thinks that makes you gay. So... all right, well, good luck, brew dudes. If y'all are out there doing that, make sure you tell us all about it.
And film it.
In detail. Start a new website, brojob.com.
That's a good idea. There's
I'm
some
sure
money.
somebody already has it.
Is it? See if it's taken, John. It
all
will
right.
be by the end of this show.
Flashing on two quick homophobic assault stories. One, Larry and Daniel Lennox Choate were the first gay male couple to marry at West Point. Well, over the weekend, they were attacked by a 40-year-old man at a bodega in Soho. I mean, obviously they're gay. And the guy sucker punched Danny in the face. But Larry, his husband, explained that he left covered in his own blood with his tail between his legs after I handled the situation and tossed him in the street like the coward loser he is.
Woo!
Because they said that it's important to fight off those kind of people because the next person that gets attacked might not have been through plebe boxing at West Point. So awesome that Larry and Daniel were able to deal with that kind of situation. But the reverse... over the weekend, 2 lesbians were attacked at Six Flags in Massachusetts. 2 people were yelling anti-gay slurs at the college-aged lesbian couple, and then one of the victims turned around to confront the woman, who started punching her in the face. The other woman then began punching the first victim's girlfriend before pulling out a knife. After a crowd gathered, the suspects fled the scene but were eventually arrested. And I say this just to point out, because as much as we applaud Larry and Daniel for being able to defend themselves... And as much as we talk about fighting for equality, there's still many, many places and many massive public venues where just simply displaying the affection of who you love can put you in physical danger. And as much as it's frustrating, being aware of your surroundings at all time is really important. I'm not telling anyone not to hold hands and not to express affection, but we have to be more aware of our surroundings than other couples do when displaying public affection.
It's not just public affection for me. I feel like that just because I've got such a big mouth and I've been, and I've written some things that got me to that degree where going to Charlotte next week, and I remember a guy from Charlotte told me that he would hunt me down and find me in the club that I was performing after I went after him on the internet, quoting the Bible and stuff. So we do have to be careful because we think, oh, we're invincible, we're whatever, and we're not all West Point people.
I would be like limp wrist slapping and running away.
I'd be screaming, yes.
I got a big mouth and fast legs.
Well, I was that kid on the playground who was scared to fight, but I don't think I am anymore. And I don't want to ever do that. I don't want to be in that place, but I don't think that I think I'd be like Mr. Jordan.
I am that kid that is not scared to run.
And you could.
All right, flashing out.
All right, we've got a priest delivered a bombshell from the pulpit. This is priest Juan Andres Quevedo Bosch of the Church of the Redeemer in Astoria stopped his service to announce from the pulpit that 1, he was gay, 2, he was divorcing his wife, and 3, he was marrying a younger man. Chaos, confusion, outrage ensued as a result of this abrupt drop in attendance. Saturday service at the church have been canceled. Wednesday mass is on the chopping block. Only 10 people showed up, but some church members are standing by him. Last week, he announced that he and his husband were married in Los Angeles, and that was followed with a picture from their honeymoon along with the caption, "I'm in Miami Beach with my new husband. God is good." But go ahead.
So what do you think? What's your response to this?
I think it was honestly, I think that there was a better way to do this.
Yeah.
I really do. I don't think that you can expect to say, okay, I'm just leaving my wife. She's there in the third row, and I have a new boyfriend, and I'm gay, and we're getting married. I think that there is a better way to do this.
I mean, I feel like that's the thing where you got to do it in phases. Like you have to say, we're so sorry to share that me and my wife are getting divorced. You wait 3 months. I have met someone new. That's so exciting. You wait 3 months. This new person that I met, we are getting married. Like, sir, you just need to be sensitive to people's feelings. And also, isn't it kind of weird to announce that from the pulpit?
It really is.
Isn't there a newsletter?
I mean, it's also, I mean, even
a
though
bulletin
this
board.
is the Episcopal Church and they priests who wish to enter in same-sex gender marriage are approved by the church, this is a different situation. This is a divorce and then I mean, obviously there was a possibility that, I mean, I don't know which relationship ended and started and when that happened,
care.
but I think it was inconsiderate of him. That's what I think. I think that there was a better consideration for and possibly you need to resign and take care of your personal life and then come back to the ministry possibly.
I don't even think that.
Know.
I just think that that's a weird series of things to announce all at once in front of the pulpit. Make a nice little newsletter and put it up on the bulletin board for people to peruse at their leisure.
Look at me. I'm always complaining about people controlling lives, and here I was just trying to rewrite his story. He can do whatever he wants.
I mean, he can, but I think the reactions are understandable.
I do. I absolutely do.
All right, let's skip on to Greg Louganis.
Well, Greg Louganis, I love Greg Louganis. A few years ago, I had the privilege of playing his boyfriend at the San Diego Gay Men's Chorus, hired us both, and we had such a great time. And I found out a lot of his story back then, and he has a new documentary. I actually saw it at Outfest, I think a year before last, and it is now on HBO. And I would really advise all of you, if you can, watch Greg's beautiful documentary, because it's very honest, and it chronicles his journey from being a gold medalist and having a lot of endorsements, and then coming out not only as homosexual but also HIV positive, and the repercussions that happened to him financially.
Yep.
And how he dealt with those. And it's really a hero's journey. So.
And it premiered last night on HBO, and it's called Back on Board. So check that out.
Yeah,
as a
put that
big
in
pioneer of both gay activism and HIV activism, and an enormous figure in the sports world, holding records that are still on the books from the 80s.
Still is very active in our community and doing great things for us.
So one of our inspiring icons. Watch his story. Flashing on really quickly, just because it's so ridiculous. We've talked about how ridiculous Russia is with their propaganda law about LGBT people. Well, their media regulator is considering banning the same-sex couples emojis. Now, I don't know how they're going to work that out with Apple, but that is how ridiculous they have gotten in their attempt to continue to stop us from ruining the children. As Whitney Houston said, I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. They are not going to become gay from looking at a same-sex emoji. And then the trailer was released for Roland Emmerich's brand new Stonewall movie. Did you watch it?
I have not, no.
It's really interesting. They're clearly telling the story from the perspective of a fictional gay man who has moved from Kansas, so I'm sure there's like 700 Dorothy jokes, to New York, and who becomes involved with the Stonewall scene. It's one of the first big budget tellings of this story. It's going to be interesting. I'm withholding my judgment because there's a lot of talk, about the drag queens and the bisexuals and the lesbians and the trans people that were very involved in that first particular incident in this journey. And the trailer is a little like white gay man centric, like Sylvia Rivera and Marsha that were very involved. So I'm withholding judgment and tentatively excited. I'm hoping that this doesn't turn out to be a story about a moment in gay history made for straight people that's going to irritate the LGBT community for the things that they chose to gloss over or ignore. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
You're scared it's not going to be as gritty as it should be.
Yeah, well, yeah, that it's going to be and about like some of the real people that were really there and really involved. I hope it's not done for everyone else. I hope it can be done for us and them at the same time.
And a big release, right?
Yeah, a big release.
Yeah, coming up. So watch for that. And
so we'll see. And now, flashing on to Trans-cetera, our segment focusing specifically on trans subjects and issues.
And I, again, am obsessed with I Am Kate. I saw the second episode. And you know what I really loved about the episode is as she is being educated, we are being educated.
Yes.
There's so much that because when he was living in such a bubble and so closeted and in a high-profile situation, there were lots of things that he did not know that she is now. Am I doing okay?
Yeah.
She is now being educated, and her like HRC, just basic things like HRC, asking the question. And I like that she's an executive producer, and she's allowing herself to not always look politically right, and she is on a journey, and our good friend Candace Kane was in this episode and will be in the next episode, and I really am enjoying it. I think it's so important.
And I was super impressed. One, because it was really interesting when she said that she'd never been in a room full of trans women, and particularly the women they got. I loved Shandy telling the story of that she started in drag as Chandelier and became Shandy when she realized it was just that she was actually a woman. But also particularly two women that I am a huge fan of their work. Jenny Boylan is one of the co-chairs of GLAAD, and she's a huge iconic figure in trans activism and LGBT activism, and she's incredibly smart. And then the other was Jen Richards, who works particularly with young people, and she's a writer and an actress as well. And I love that they showed their hesitation, their concern about Caitlin's privilege, about Caitlin stating that I don't think people should be on social services for very long, and all of them concerned about that her privilege, it keeps her from understanding how difficult the journey really is for other trans women, and the discussion group that they ended the episode with that I'm hoping we'll see a lot more of this week. But like you said, I want to echo, I love that she's allowing herself to look uninformed in order to show us her own education and at the same time educating viewers. Now, it had a huge drop in the ratings. It's down at 1.3 million viewers for the live episode, which is lower than any Kardashian episode ever. But what I think is interesting is, I think, a lot of people, this is an issue that is foreign, that is scary, and it's not drama-fueled like a lot of reality television. And I still say that 1.3 million viewers tuning in for a show specifically about transitioning and transgender issues is an enormous accomplishment in our culture.
Absolutely.
And related to that, because I talked about Jen Richards, she is a part of a TV series coming online called Her Story. It's executive produced by playwright and activist Eve Ensler, and Jen Richards is one of the stars with Angelica Ross from writer-actor Laura Zach. And it's about the dating and love life of trans women, because they're often objectified, and in our media they're seen as victims or as tricking people or prostitutes or murder victims. And so this is specifically about the rich and fullness of their life. So if you want to contribute to that IndieGoGo campaign, they're in post-production and ready to get the episodes out to us. Go to IndieGoGo and search Her Story and you can find it.
What a team. I mean, Eve Ensler, just such a great playwright who wrote the Vagina monologues. So.
And another amazing, this one on Kickstarter, and the reason I'm promoting this is because so many trans issues are underfunded and underexposed. My Trans Health is a free website that has been created to connect transgender people with qualified, culturally competent doctors in their neighborhood. It's a website. It's a location-based search tool that will feature 4 categories: medical, mental health, legal, and crisis care, with experts specifically knowledgeable and experienced with transgender issues and people. Users will be able to filter the results in their area. So it will provide free and easy local tools, vetted providers with complete and current profiles. And they set a goal of $20,000, and they have 21 days left, and they've already surpassed that at almost $30,000. But the more money they receive, the more major markets they will able to be in. So supporting trans healthcare, which is really important because so many of them can't get the services they need because they don't have insurance or their insurance doesn't cover it. So go to Kickstarter and search My Trans Healthcare. And you can find that campaign to contribute. And finally, because we can't let a week go by without an opportunity for Del to share his acting talents, checking in with Crazy.
Well, he's just become a regular on our show, Pat Robertson, because he.
I like it. He's like our third co-host.
Pappy Robertson continues to spew. Just crazy,
nonsense.
Just nonsense. So and I always say he says it with such earnest and conviction. Go ahead.
I'll ask the question.
Okay.
A caller, incredibly frustrated and terrified and not knowing what to do, called in and said, Pat Robertson, can God take away this same-sex attraction? Can God change a homosexual to straight?
We have had people on this program. There was one guy who came as a woman. As a woman, he was absolutely gorgeous. I mean, gorgeous, but he was a man. And the Lord touched him, changed him, and now he is married with children and has a very happy life. Yes, God can. It's a miracle, but God can do it. It is a tendency in your life. Somebody was asking me for counseling the other day, said, I've got this son who was effeminate from the time he was young, and now he says he's gay. And I said to her, does he want to be a girl? And she said, no. I said, well, if he doesn't want to be a girl, basically he wants to be a man. If he wants to be a man, there's no reason that he can't start acting like one. God can take care of this. I know it used to be considered psychologically that this was an aberration, but now if someone counsels this, they come against you that it's violating someone's civil rights. Scene.
I mean, well, he's right about one thing. If it happened, it would be a miracle because there's not a single shred of scientific evidence to support the fact that it can be done. So he did get one thing right, Pappy.
And he wants to be a man. I always say, I want to be a man. I'm a gay man.
I'm a swishy, lispy, screaming queen man sometimes.
We come in all colors of the
shapes
rainbow.
And sizes. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our show.
Yes.
Thanks so much to Equality Vodka for sponsoring our show and making it possible for us to bring this to you.
So appreciate you.
And if you want to find us on the social media, first of all, a huge support and thanks to all of those that you listen weekly, that download the podcast on iTunes, and those of you that continue to share it and bring new people to listening to sharing our crazy perspectives on everything every week. On social media, you can find us Del Shores at the Del Shores Fan Club on Facebook, at Del Shores on Twitter. As always, you can send me your hate tweets at Actually Emerson. On Facebook, Emerson Collins Official. Make sure you stick around at UBN Radio. We are thrilled to have a home here. Up next is it Jasper or Tony? On air with Tony Sweet, and then Jasper, and then our good friend Ann Walker after that. And a big shout out, Pandora Box, who we had on our show, has just launched a new show on UBN Radio on Tuesday. She had her premiere yesterday, so go into the archives.
Said it went well. I ran into her last night,
and check it out, and then tune into her show next week. We are proud to be part of the UBN Radio family, and thank you so much for joining us.
We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows, it's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's ubnradio.com. Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows,